hope this doesn't sound mean. I'm not trying to be mean, because what I am about to say is, in some ways, a compliment. In some ways. In other ways, perhaps considerably less so. But there really is no way around it if we want to talk about this week's episode and the entire season so far of Survivor. So I'm going to have just let it rip, and here it is. I think Bhanu Gopal is probably the least equipped player we have ever seen in 46 seasons of Survivor. The guy was just too pure for this game. We could go through the list of disastrous things Bhanu did over his first 9 days, some of which, like when he pretty much point-blank told Jelinski he was voting him out at the first tribal council, did not even make it to air, but we simply don't have that much time. It's not just that Bhanu didn't play well. There have been plenty of people, folks that have even won Survivor, that made foolish moves. The problem with Bhanu is that he didn't make any moves at all. Wait, that's not true. He did have one move, and that move was pretty much to incessantly beg others for help. That's it. Find me anything else besides begging. And what Bhanu's begging may have lacked in quality, he made up for with sheer quantity. The begging had a range that extended anywhere from mere light pleading to asking others to go find me an idol to, when all else failed, literally getting down on his knees. That last one was super difficult to watch and just kinda sad. Watching Bhanu beg on bended knee to Tiffany was not even the hardest part of the episode for me. That would be watching the guy who had been praying to his God every day shake his finger at the sky and proclaim angrily, "I'm mad at myself and I'm at him. If this is what you wanted, and you wanted to end my story so soon, you shouldn't have put me on Survivor in the first place." Wow. And I thought his yelling at Jess during the challenge was intense. I understand that there are a ton of you out there that were over the Bhanu show and how much his struggles have been monopolizing the edit over the first month of the season. Totally get it. It's been a lot. But to watch a guy that wears a Be Kind t-shirt and has been praying to his God every day reduced to yelling, "If this is what you wanted, and you wanted to end my story so soon, you shouldn't have put me on Survivor in the first place," is one of the most brutally real things I have ever seen on my TV set. I can't stop thinking about it. To watch this pre-game beacon of light and positivity reduced to emotional rubble to the point that he was yelling at his God is pretty seismic stuff. And because I am a misery vampire and gain power through others' pain like some sort of twisted version of Colin Robinson, this scene was like an all-you-can-eat buffet of abject failure that I mainlined directly into my veins. You want a scene that shows Survivor at its most raw and uncompromising? This was it. Look what the game did to this poor guy. Because bless his heart, Bhanu was simply not made for Survivor. And he would be the first person to admit it. He was incapable of keeping secrets, incapable of strategizing, incapable of even standing up at times. Beyond just collapsing in agony in front of folks on the journey or in front of tribe mates at the water well. At one point, the guy fully just laid down on the ground, unable to do anything but sprawl out in a prone position, which, to be fair, is usually how I find myself after every increasingly humiliating Washington Commanders lost. Bhanu's ouster was so assured that Probst didn't even make the tribe go through the charade of casting votes. And before anyone goes crazy saying how presumptuous that was of the host, keep in mind that if any of the players were secretly planning to vote any other way other than Bhanu, they would have told a producer during an interview and that information would have been relayed to Probst. There was absolutely no need to play it out. I recognize that a little Bhanu goes a long way, and we got a lot of Bhanu this season. I am guessing too much for some of you out there. But he was also a flavor of Survivor contestant we have never seen before. Yes, I will freely admit there was a car crash element to Bhanu's gameplay from which I simply could not look away. I lost track of how many times I mentally screamed, "Dude,
No.
what are you doing?" But his experience also said so much about Survivor and how the game can chew you up and spit you out. And as this new era of the show has specialized in highlighting uplifting fare in the form of players overcoming fears, doubts, and obstacles through inner strength and fortitude they never knew they had, it was oddly refreshing to see the complete opposite. A contestant that came in all smiles and left in absolute tatters. Jeff Probst used to often say that Survivor is an ass kicker, and we just saw someone get his ass kicked. Even in the new kinder, gentler era of the show, there is something undeniably fascinating about seeing that unraveling up close, and seeing just what an ass kicker Survivor can still be. I was riveted by Bhanu's last stand, And when it comes to providing a pure window into raw human despair, a key emotion on Survivor, I'm not sure there will be another TV moment this year that rivals Banu yelling and gesturing at his god. Okay, let's get into what non-Banu stuff went down this week on Survivor 46, because, believe it or not, there was some. Jim is truly outrageous, truly outrageous. While Banu was busy telling Tiff, Q, and Kinsey how he had thrown them all under the bus during his journey, Jem was causing some mischief of her own over at Flock of Siga. In a scene that, as far as we know, did not take place 4 days ago, we saw Maria find the beware advantage that Jem had replanted. After initially throwing it to the ground, as if she had accidentally picked up a decapitated rat, Maria finally opened it in front of the whole tribe, and they all commenced digging. Because nobody on Siga was having an emotional breakdown of epic proportions. Sorry, Maria, yours doesn't count. That was pretty much all we got from Siga this week, except for Mariah going all Woody Harrelson and proving that white women can't jump. I will say, I love this move by Jim. A wise philosopher named Keith Nail once opined that Survivor is not fun. My guess is Banu would agree. But Siga is all about that fun, and mischievous fun is the best kind of fun. Not only did Jim get to amuse herself, and us, by watching her tribe mates get covered in giant ants for no reason looking for advantage that was not even there, but she also was able to cast suspicion on another player for doing it as Mariah wondered if Tim, not Jim, had already found the real one and planted the fake. That enabled the culprit to push that narrative and sow doubt about 2 of the men on the tribe. Apparently, when Jim is not tied up battling Pizzazz, Roxy, and Stormer of the Misfits, she goes and picks on guys named Tim and Charlie. Put a ring on it. I thought about skipping over this week's reward challenge, but that would seem like cruel and unusual punishment to not even mention Yanu's first and last ever competition win. Plus, any challenge in which some dude repeatedly flips a platform upside down with himself on it is definitely getting a notice. What was most interesting to me about this one was it illustrated exactly why making everyone do something can be so dramatically stimulating, as opposed to one person doing it all. Take the rings. Or take the rings, please, as Maria might say. As part of this challenge, the 4 players competing for each tribe had to each get 1 ring off the pole, but one person could do all the shooting to get them back on. I really like the wrinkle of making each person get a ring off because it means your team is only as strong as your weakest member. No place to hide, baby. It also can create story, as it did here with Maria, for the person who falters. Look, nobody wants to point fingers, but everybody wants to watch other people point fingers. That's why we enjoy these shows. Unfortunately, the folks on Siga are just too nice to complain about one of their own. Or maybe they were just too busy looking for a non-existent advantage. Anyway, Yanu won. And that is not a typo. But even when Yanu wins, they kinda don't. Not only was it not the far more important immunity challenge they won, but since they had no flint, that meant no fire, which meant they had no way to cook the fish that were being given away. So they had to accept a previous reward of toolkit and tarp instead. Soda starting to fizzle? The Nami footage this week started with Soda and Tevin making beautiful music together, but like every great band that doesn't want to overstay their welcome, they eventually appeared destined to break up. Tevin had noticed Soda having lots of one-on-one conversations and worried she was making too many connections. I had wondered if this tribe would be big enough for 2 huge personalities in Tevin and Soda, and it appears the answer to that question might be a resounding no. Tevin started floating the idea of taking her out should they ever lose an immunity competition, and Hunter was on board because all it would do is bring Tevin closer to him. Liz was naturally on board because it meant Liz would not be the one to go. Of course, as long as Hunter is on that tribe, they're not likely to lose any challenges and end up at tribal council, so the point could be moot. Also, shout out to some pretty spectacular fish cleaning and gutting by Tevin. Just like they do it in Mayberry, I imagine.